Hey everybody. I think I better close this. And I think we got I think we're happening. Yeah, can you hear me, Hillary's? All right. Cool. Good evening, everybody. Or good evening, Aleska and Hillary's, and whoever else might show up in the future, or hey, Halsey, or the past, or whatever. We're here doing Finnegan's Wake, my second stream. I did this much last time, which I almost want to do it again because there's so much to this page and to this first couple of paragraphs. But we're gonna plunge through some tonight. I brought home some Irish whiskey tonight. This is Teeling's Irish whiskey, which I think Joyce would appreciate that. There's a lot of whiskey references in Finnegan's Wake. I thought I'd give a little sketch of the kind of the last time I did this, I did a little sketch of the folk tale Finnegan's Wake. Uh, or I mentioned at least that there's a folk tale called Finnegan's Wake and a song, a folk song about it. That Joyce was well aware of course. It's an old song. But in that song, there's a man who he dies. He's climbing up a ladder specifically to build a wall. He's a brick carrier, a hod carrier, and he's building a wall in this song. And he falls off of the ladder and he hits his head and he dies. And he's well loved by his friends and family. And so there's a wake that's held for him, a wake for Finnegan's Wake. And they, this might be starting to sound familiar to you now, but what happens is they all gather around his open casket and they toast to him with some Irish whiskey. And they say, hey, to Finnegan, who was a great bricklayer, a great hod carrier, a great man who fell and died too young. And in their revelry, they spilled a little bit of this whiskey on him. Whiskey, which has, of course, the linguistic qualities that tie it to the words for life and for the breath of life, huskow specifically. And there's a resurrection. Finnegan wakes at his wake. The whiskey, the breath of life, brings him back again. And we find Finnegan again is waking. And this is the root. This is the central pun, at least, in Finnegan's Wake, from which everything is extrapolated. And so it's appropriate to drink whiskey, but it's also maybe even more appropriate to drink nice stout that's been made with lactic acid, specifically Guinness. And if you tune your ears, I think it starts showing up soon, the references to the Guinness. Oh, actually, you know what? There was one right up here already. Here it is. Rada Peck. Barley that beer is made out of. And Pa's Malt would be the Papa Guinness, whose brewery in Dublin, Ireland, was inherited by his sons. Anyway, we're going to dive into this next part here, where the themes of primordial conflict and war start to arise in Finnegan's Wake. So take a slug of the good juice. I'm going to just go to full present here so you can read along. Let's do some of this. Here. There we go. What clashes here of wills Jen wants? Ostry gods, gaggin' fishy gods, brekek, kekek, 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 coax, 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 walu, 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 wawa, where the battleries partisans are still out to Mathmatister Malachus McRains, and the Verdans catapulting the Chemabalistics out of the hooty voice of Hooty Head. Assigates and boomerangstroms, Sod's brood be me fear, Sanglorian save, arms appeal with larms appalling, killy kill killy, atoll atoll, what chance cuddlies, what cashels aired and ventilated, what by dimbled to loves seduced by what tegotabazolvers, what true feelings for theirs, heyer, with what strong voice of false Jacob. Oh, here how hath sprawled met the dusk, the father of fornicationists, but, oh, my shining stars and body, how hath fain spawned most high heaven, the sky signs of soft advertisement. But what is it? Ere were sewers, the oaks have all, now they lie in peat, yet all elms leap where asks lay. Fall if but will, rise you must, and none so soon either shall the farce, for the nonce come to a set down secular fiendish. Big Mr. Finnegan of the stuttering hand, Freeman's Maurer, lived in the broadest way imaginable, in his rushlit too far back for Masujas, before Joshuan judges had given us numbers, or Helveticus committed Deuteronomy. One yeasty day he sternly struck his teat in a tub for to wash his future of his fates, but ere he swiftly stook it out again, by the might of Moses, the very water was evaporated, and all the Guinnesses had met their exodus, so that ought to show you what a pensionaduty chap he was. And during mighty odd years, this man of hod, cement, and edifices in Toppers Thorpe piled bildung, supra bildung, upon the banks for the livers of the Swansco. He at a little fifiani ooged the little crather, whither higher in Hans tuck up your part in her. Oft while bulbous, Mithra head, with goodly trowel and grasp and ivor-oiled overalls, which he habitually fancied, like Harun Childrick Egebirth, he would caligulate by multiplicables his altitude and multitude until he seesaw by neat light of the liquor, where twin 'twas born, his roundhead staple of other days, to rise and undress, masonry upstanded, joy granted, a Walworth of skyscrape of most Eiffel hoith in Towerly, irrigating from next to nothing, and celesticating the himmels and all, tip top, hierarch tip top tick top loftical, with a burning bush abob its off its bubble top, and with Laurens O'Toolers clittering up and tumbles a buckets clattering down. Of the first was he to bear arms and a name, Wassily Bula of Reisenborg, his crest of heraldry invert with the ancillars trobulent, argent, a hedge oak, persoviant, horrid horned. His suchum fest, with archers strung, Helio of the second. Hooch is for husbandman handling his hoe. Ho, 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 ho. Mr. Finn, you're going to be Mr. Finn again. Come day morn and oh, your vine. Sunday's eve and your vinegar. Ha, 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 Mr. Fun, you're going to be fined again. Okay, I think I'm going to call it there. I know. I know I could keep going, but holy smokes, I feel like we just went over a huge amount of it, and stuff needs to be said. So I'm going to go back here to sharing this. And all right, here's some fun stuff. Ostrigard's Gag and Fishy Gods. This is a reference to the Ostrogoths and the Vishigoths. This is ancient warfare. This is like almost legendary. Like right on the. This is where Joyce liked to play. Right on the boundaries of history and mythology, and of course, it's no accident to have the oysters and the fish here. This is a watery, primordial version of those Goths, those Gothic wars back in primordial Germany, or what we now call of Germany. But those lands, like these warring tribes, these brand new civilizations that were clashing and making sounds like brekek, kekek, 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 which I can't remember exactly where, but these are Greek words that are meant to be onomatopoeia for the sound that toads make when they're toads or frogs. I forget where. This is a quote from or a reference to an ancient Greek poem where the hero is walking by some watery place. I wish I could do this better. If you go to the annotated Finnegan's Wake online, it explains all of this, but it's a really cool, like, it sounds like nonsense, but it's really actually tied to some very specific urgencies in ancient descriptions of battles. And speaking of battles, here's battleries, partisans, and then Math Master Malachus McGrains, which I love. There is references to Joyce's other fantastic opus, Ulysses, all over Finnegan's Wake, and this is one of them. In the very first sentence of Ulysses, we learn about a man named Malachi, two dactyls, which this or two dactyls, which this pattern also this pattern of words also offers us. Two dactyls, fantastic layers upon layers of references there. We get more lovely violence here in Cannibalistics and the White Voice of Hootie Head, which is a reference to a revolutionary group in Ireland. Boomerang of Storms and Assegates, which is our, all kinds of stuff. Stroms, not storms, but boomerang stroms. Australian weapons here. Sod's brood be me fear. Sang glory and save. Sang being the Latin word for blood, and the glory of blood, and the salvation of the glory of blood. And so we have Christianity layered through here as well. Arms appeal with larms appalling. Killy, 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 atoll, atoll. There's this sense that the river that runs through the first and through all of this whole book, the river, which is the force, the energy of history, and it's not a good one. It's full of ugliness. It's appalling, but it is also life. It takes a toll, and occasionally there's a chance cuddlies. But then suddenly there's casuals, aired and ventilated. Those are bullet holes, my friends. Those are bullet holes. He's describing war. And it's funny, but it's also important that he transitions quickly to sex with fornicationists and with his central love story metaphor, Iseult, and the ancient Greek love story. And he juxtaposes that with shit. There were sewers before were sewer. What happened before there were sewers? The shit was just laying around in the roads, my friends. It was running in the rivers. And here's evidence of it. The oaks of Ald, they lie now in peat. In Ireland, peat and the peat ricks, Thuart Petrick, are important commodities. They're burnt for fuel, the peat ricks. And the peat is desiccated trees, the oaks of Ald. They are the rot. They are the shit. And they are the fuel. It's the same thing. And guess what else it's the same thing of, according to Joyce? Because now he starts going hard on the dick jokes. Actually, people find them up here too, but this is obviously fall, as in phallic. Fall if you but will, rise you must. And none so soon either shall the farce for the nonce come to a set down secular foenish, the phoenix which dies and then raises from its ashes. This is also Finnegan the dick, Finnegan the falling and rising by Mr. Finnegan of the stuttering hand. By the way, it becomes clear within the text that the hero, the dreamer, the main character of Finnegan's Wake, who isn't Finnegan, but a different guy named Henry, he's a stutterer. And he also seems to have other stammering sort of attributes, including a shake to his hand. But he is a mason. He's a hod layer. He works with bricks. He's the freeman's maurer. By Mr. Finnegan. So maybe I shouldn't be so cryptic. So here's the first incarnation of our dreamer, HCE, which is you can learn to look for this pattern, HCE. It's not always capitalized either, which makes it even more fun. But the dreamer's name is Henry. I think it's Henry or Harold. Anyway, it's something Chadwick. Fuck, what is it? Henry Chadwick. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I don't know it. But it's in code all over the place. I'm going to look it up. Gibbons Wake main characters. Earwicker. Henry Chadwick Earwicker. Humphrey. Chimpton Earwicker. I was close. His name's Humphrey. Humphrey Chadwick Earwicker. And as the dreamer, he dreams his own name as several different things. And this is the first time he dreams his own name. Haron Childrick Egbirth, which has all kinds of fun implications if you break it apart and put it back together. But here's some more dick stuff. Off-while Balbus Mithra ahead with goodly trowel and grasp. This is a description of the organ in question. Holy smokes, my mom listens to this. I'm sorry, Mom, but there's dick jokes. And he also had a habit, which becomes clear in here too, where he fawn-seated this particularly verboten organ in his ivory old overalls. He fondled it, and he caligulated, and by the neat light of the liquor, where twas born, his round head, staple of other days to rise. In undress masonry upstanded, joy granted, a Walworth of it. So this starts to sound like a bunch of dick jokes to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm not being directly enough. But there's another name in here that we really have to point out before I wrap it up here. Besides remember I said Guinness would be mentioned in here, the brewery. And here it is again with the yeasty day. Um, there's a whole story here where the character in a story struck his teat in a tub, but we're gonna skip that. I just really want to. I guess I'm gonna end this because I realize that I'm probably, even with 2 sips of whiskey in me, I'm probably too embarrassed and shy to ramble on much more about Finnegan's Wake for tonight. But here's Add a Little Fiffy or Fifey Annie. Um, the female attribute that's being described in Finnegan's Wake is, in my opinion, transcendent idea of femininity, and the name that Joyce gives that character, if you want to call it that, is Anna Livia Plurabelle, and here's her initials, ALF, and and then right after that, Annie, which would be a very beautiful sort of pet name for her. Um, the River Liffey is a river that runs through Dublin, and it's the river. She's the first. Her avatar, her whatever, her attribute in the world, her river, is the first word of the book, and I think that that's important. I think that might actually be the most important thing. So he Add a little fifey Annie, ugg the little crather. This is very cryptic, and uh, I think it's essentially saying, at least in this part of it, uh, that his motivation for the work that he was doing, the physical work he was doing, Topersthorpe being the building that he was working on through many years, piling dung upon dung by the banks of the Swansko. He was doing it for her. I think so much is done for love. I think there's a foundational motivation, in humanity, that the fuel for it is love, and romantic love is an oversimplification. Anyway, whatever love Joyce felt, whatever love HCE felt for Anna Liva Plurabelle, that's the love I feel for you guys. And thanks for sharing this stuff with me. I'm gonna keep it going. There's a lot more to read. It's a very, very big book, and like I said before, it's a circle. The last sentence feeds into the first one, so it's never really over. So anyway, peace, and I hope you all have an awesome night. I'm sure I'll see you around.